Hi everyone, my name is Jody Della Pena. I'm a librarian here at the Alpine Library, and Connie told me that you guys are considering changing your book club from a regular book club mystery to a book to film club, which is a really fun and great idea. So she asked me to present a few books to you so that you could get an idea of some really great choices for books to films. So um, the whole format of book to film is really incorporating lively discussions about the differences between the books and the films. And so I chose some books and films today that really incorporate some really fun elements to discuss with female characters, perspective, point of view. They're mysteries, they're thrillers, so they're still kind of in your genre, but they've also have really great films attached. So I hope you really like the ones that I present. They're going to hopefully incorporate some really great discussions between the differences between the books and the films. So the first book that I have for you may not be as well known. It's called Before I Go to Sleep. And this is available as a book, as you can see. It's also available as an audiobook, and it's available as a DVD through the library. So you'll be able to get all three formats. So Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson is a really great thriller, mystery, and great female character in this book. Now, I just want to ask you a question before I start talking about the book. How many of us here are married? A partner, significant other? I've been with my husband for almost 30 years, and we've had our good times, our bad times, but when I look at him, I think about all of the things that we've built our life on together. I look at him and I remember those milestones that we achieved together as a couple. And, you know, you experience your triumphs and memories together and all of that. But what if you looked across at your partner and they were a perfect stranger? Now, I don't mean in that existential moment where you're like, who are you? Because as married people, we go through that all the time. But what I mean is, in the literal sense of I have absolutely no idea who this person is. So in Before I Go to Sleep, Christine Lucas wakes up every morning believing she is a 25-year-old ready to go and face her morning. Yet she wakes up in a stranger's bed next to a stranger in a very strange room. She quietly, thinking it's a one-night stand, makes her way to the bathroom, opens the door to the bathroom, and in the bathroom are pictures of her and the stranger in the other room plastered all over the bathroom. Furthermore, she looks in the mirror and she's not a 25-year-old, but a 47-year-old. I know some of us have had that as well, but she literally goes through this every single morning. In addition, through the panic and terror and shock every morning of her life, she is told by her husband that she has survived a terrible accident and has a very rare form of amnesia, so that every morning that she wakes up, she cannot remember the day before. The first memory she has is of when she's 25 years old, so more than 20 years of her memory is missing. So every day of her life, she's got to sort through the pieces of the information, and everything around her is telling her that she doesn't know this life, she doesn't know these people, she doesn't know the apartment that she's living in. And she questions her own sanity because she doesn't remember it, but the people around her are telling her who she is. She finds out that she has a therapist. She finds a secret calendar through her therapist, who she's not really sure is a good guy or a bad guy. She finds lots of different pieces of her life. She's trying to put them all together and ultimately finds a diary, which is a really clever way to keep track of the memories that she's gained every day, because every morning she wakes up, she doesn't remember the day before and has to go through this process every single day. So she starts to reveal all of these little pieces from here and there. New characters are revealed. Lots of horrifying details of her accident are revealed, and her personal life leading up to that. So this is a really great book that lends itself to lively discussions about how we perceive ourselves as women in that patriarchal paradigm, and we're entrenched in that every day. So in this book, it really takes those even those private moments and really highlights what that means to be a woman and how we perceive ourselves and how others perceive us. And also, because she has amnesia, the perspective of the main character is very unreliable, and it's hard for us as readers to believe what she's saying. So it's a great book for all of those reasons, and you'll really have fun sharing your thoughts and your ideas between the two. Also, this book came out, it came out as a movie, and it stars Nicole Kidman, and it's a really great movie and captures a lot of the drama and suspense and mystery that the book does. So that's a really fun, those two are really fun together. So the next book that I have for you is Serena by Ron Rash, and he's a great writer, and I think that this book is his best book. I wanted to read you a little bit of the book, and one of my favorite lines, which really epitomizes the book, is, "Give us a lifetime and Mrs. Pemberton and I will cut down every tree, not just in Brazil, but in the world." And George Pemberton declares this shortly in the book about he and his wife. So I also wanted to read you maybe the first paragraph of the book. It obviously centers around a character named Serena, who is in no way serene, ironic title. In the vein of Lady Macbeth, she plays the role of the ruthless, power-hungry woman behind the evil man. She also is pretty ruthless and bloodletting even. And we see from the outset a terrifying scene at a train station where they're arriving from Boston, home from their marriage and their courtship. So when they arrive, here's the opening paragraph. When Pemberton returned to North Carolina mountains after 3 months in Boston, settling his father's estate, among those waiting on the train platform was a young woman pregnant with Pemberton's child. She was accompanied by her father, who carried beneath his shabby frock coat a bowie knife, sharpened with great attentiveness, earlier that morning so that it would plunge as deep as possible into Pemberton's heart. He doesn't so much as Pemberton doesn't so much as confront the father of the girl as to settle the matter. He basically butchers him on the platform. But at the insistence of his wife, she tells him to settle it, and he gets his knife and basically disembowels him on the train station platform, and basically gets away with it. So that's sort of the context. It's during the Great Depression, where very ruthless, greedy people put the country into this Great Depression and utilized all the resources for their own benefit. So in this case, it's the timber industry. So they are hacking through the beautiful North Carolina forests for their own gain. And in this arena is where we find George and Serena Pemberton and how they are exploiting their workers and pretty ruthless, both of them. In this novel. So this book, I think, will really prompt some discussion about gender equality, because in it, Serena is pretty much the bad guy. And it's a great book to really discuss why she's more ruthless than he is. Why is she painted this way and he's more of a sympathetic character? And this is a completely male-dominated industry, the timber industry, and she is looked on as much more cutthroat and ruthless as her husband, although he is no Boy Scout. So it's a really interesting talk about that. Also, the movie is beautiful. As you can see, Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence in it. It's filmed beautifully and really captures the dark, ruthless nature of the book excellently. So I definitely recommend both. So the third book I brought for you today is a book by Gillian Flynn, and you may be familiar with her work through the book Gone Girl. But in my opinion, Dark Places is probably the better novel by her. And it's an even better thriller, I think. So Dark Places starts in 1985. Libby Day awakes in the middle of the night, confused and bleary-eyed. It's cold. It's in the winter. To strange sounds coming from the other part of her house of her teenage brother murdering her mother and her sisters. So in the freezing cold of a winter night on a really remote Kansas farm. She escapes through the window down to the reeds along the pond, where she hides for several hours, and survives. She's the sole survivor of this massacre. So after that, she becomes very famous as the brave Baby Day, the sole survivor of the Kansas Prairie Massacre. Satanic pentagrams and inexplicable mutilations on her sisters and her mother. And she actually has to testify against her teenage brother when they find him, and he's incarcerated for the massacres. He pleads guilty and he's in jail. So that happens in 1985. Fast forward to 2008. Libby is contacted by a group to do an appearance at a conference. She's been contacted before, but she's never taken anybody up on the offer because she doesn't want to talk about this horrible thing that happened to her. But they're offering her $500, and she really, really needs the money. So she reopens all of these wounds from decades ago, and one of the horrible parts of them asking her to do this is they actually believe her brother's innocent. And for all of these years, she's just been pretty much waiting to die. Believes her brother betrayed her entire family. Her father actually left the family before this happened. And she really has to delve into, based on her own personal needs, and then later her own curiosity about her brother's innocence. And she really has to delve into that. So it brings up all of these complications in her life. She is not a nice person at all. She has to face some questions like, did her brother really kill her family? Where was her father during the murders and after the murders? Why did all this happen? And the book centers around lots of flashbacks between 85 and 2008. It centers a lot around different perspectives of her brother, her mother, and herself about what happened that night. And so layer by layer, Gillian Flynn really starts to expose the truth about what happened that night in an incredibly exciting way. So this movie also is really great. Charlize Theron plays the lead character, Libby Day, grown up. And it really captures that dark, thrilling, mysterious element of the book. So I definitely recommend that. And the last one I brought for you is a pretty famous book and movie, The Girl on the Train. The movie just came out last year. Really, really terrific. And the basis of this is kind of based on what we all do, right? We're in our cars. We're riding on planes or trains. We're passengers in cars, and we pass houses and apartment buildings and buildings all the time, and we look into those windows and we start fabricating some stories about what we think the people who live there, what their lives are like, who they are. And the main character, divorcee, Rachel, rides the same train every morning and does exactly what we do. She wonders the same things. And for her, though, where the train stops, there's this sweet little house that she gets a very good view of every day. And she starts creating this very happy, sweet story about a couple who lives there. And this story is filled with love and romance and fidelity and partnership and support. And one day, she has a shocking discovery of another man embracing the wife in this couple. She names her Jess, and it really shocks her a lot. She can't believe it. She's even really physically startled by it. So later on, though, this person becomes missing. And because she has seen the other man, she starts to struggle with whether she should come forward and reveal who this person is. Now, to complicate matters, she's not only a divorcee, but she is an alcoholic. And she's had a few drunken episodes with her ex-husband and her wife and his new wife, and with the police. So people know that she has this problem, that she's not always coherent. She has blackouts, and nobody really believes her. So she's trying to deal with whether she should come forward. But then Jess's body is found. And now she really has to come forward. But who's going to believe a drunk and a jealous ex-wife? what did she even see? She doesn't even remember so much herself. She just knows that she needs to reach out and she needs to tell this to somebody. Nobody listens, nobody cares. So she really needs to fight to be heard. So I want to leave it there because it's a great ending. 3 perspectives of 3 different women in this book and movie. And the book continues with the theme of the books that I gave you tonight with unreliable characters, like Before I Go to Sleep, 3 different perspectives of the storytelling, just like Dark Places, unsympathetic characters, just like Serena. So all 3 books really will have a wealth of discussion fodder for you all. And all the books, like I said at the beginning, are offered as audiobooks, books, and DVDs. So they're all really great to experience in those 3 different mediums. So I really encourage you to maybe choose a few and have a great next few months talking about these great books. Thanks for your time.